Relay for Life. There are 3 banners. We'll set them up one a week, starting on the 12th, again on the 19th, again on the 26th. The relay itself is the 30th. They'll come down on the 1st of June. And on the gazebo, I'm not going to attach anything to the gazebo itself. Put some colored ribbon streamers with floral wire through the lattice work, and then the bows who represent members of our community who have survived their battle with cancer or lost their battle with cancer. So there'll be 2 different color bows. They'll be available for community members to put name tags on. But it's basically an awareness activity rather than an on-site activity.
Yep. So do I hear a motion to accept your application?
I was just asking Diane, the junior prom. She said you already know about that.
We worked around the prom.
Just so everyone in the community knows, it's worked
Sure.
around the junior
Yes,
prom.
yeah.
Because people like to take pictures there.
Yep.
Of course.
So do I hear a motion?
Well, I know, I was thinking that, but it might clash with someone's calendar.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And do I hear ayes? Perfect. Okay. Marie? Oh,
And David, can I add something for Chief Bell?
sure.
We switched it back an hour to 7 p.m. for the start time because of the parade.
Good. Okay, Marie,
Thank you.
you're free to go. We have an application for a peddler's permit from Mr. Dingeling, which as a young child is something I certainly love. My question is, Diane, he's only listed on there for the month of May, is that correct? That's all I noticed, which is, we have to do it month by month?
We give them
Okay.
month to month.
And is that traditionally the way we handle
But he
peddler's
only
permits?
has, he only has
Yeah,
May
there's
1st and May
nothing else listed
31st.
there.
Yeah, and there were also no times and no days of the week listed,
Mhm.
which traditionally we asked him to limit it like before 8 o'clock. Well, if you don't stipulate,
Then we need to put those stipulations in there. Okay.
yeah, I believe it, am I saying, am I
If
right?
they
We
want to
had
start that
time.
peddler's license when? May 1st.
May 1st.
Can we silence?
Is there a, an old? Is that
Does
not-
it live on Main Street?
I'm with you, Mr.
Seminole.
Do we have an old application from them listing times?
We must have one from last year.
From last year,
How about if we have that?
do you want to give your own time? Do you want me to go pull out last year's?
Well, Dort, say 10 a.m. till 6 p.m.?
It was more well, I think, I mean, you gotta let them be in the neighborhood. But I would say 8 o'clock.
10, okay, so 10
Not
a.m.
limited.
till 8 p.m.? Okay, well, I would like to make a motion that we accept
There's
this.
etiquette eating candy after 8 o'clock.
But it's also dark. But seriously, to try and move things forward, I'd like to make a motion to accept his application with the stipulation that the hours be limited from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Do we want to do, is there any?
and 6 p.m. on Sundays.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any, because there was no time or day listed.
Mhm.
I mean, is he gonna go 7
And
days a week?
if he's not
I think he
willing,
usually
Does
does.
he?
Yeah, because he was up there on weekends. You know?
Yeah. So, and if he's not willing to accept the stipulations, then the permit application will be denied to him. So do I hear a motion to accept this with my stipulations?
You're getting a little,
Okay, moving on. Correspondence, Diane, we have 7 different pieces of correspondence. The letter from Lisa Boyce about list funding, the letter from the board members requesting us, or inviting us to participate in the Memorial Day Parade. The letter of resignation from Mike Catalfamo. There's also a letter from Matt Baker at the Spiritual Life Center, who has invited all of the board members, new and old, to come up for a tour of the facility and sit down for lunch and to discuss any questions. There's a letter from Kirsten Gillibrand dealing with the water issue, and also a letter asking us to participate and proclaim Crop Day, as well as a letter from LaBarge about the well number 2.
Which you covered already.
Yes, we already covered that. So the letter about the lifts, deal with that one first. And who's on our youth committee? So,
We've typically given $250 to pay for, I can't remember what we paid for, but there was a specific item
Yeah.
Because we can't just give them $250, so we commit
Have
to
they
them.
asked for a
They
specific,
asked, I believe she asked, was it? No, I don't think so.
I don't know if there's a dollar figure this time.
I can find it, I just need to look in it further.
Yeah, because from what, I believe someone told me, it might have been Diane, last year, they never actually sent an a
No, I
request in.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, actually, they didn't send me last year.
I don't see that here. Do you have a little picture? Okay, here we go. If they're not asking for a specific dollar donation, just asking us to contribute something.
I thought it was 250.
Not on this particular letter here.
Well, I think that's what we've, in the past.
Mhm.
I don't think they asked for a specific amount, I think they just asked us to help, and we've always said,
Okay, Dora, can you talk to them and ask them specifically what they're looking for? Because you said we have to donate it for a specific project as well.
she knows.
Okay.
It's through the town.
Okay, well, if you can just nail that down with her. then
We
can-
definitely get that to them by the next meeting then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you don't want to act on it tonight? you
No,
just
no,
want-
not until we have a much firmer idea of what the money's going for. I have no objections to it, but if we have to donate it to a specific purpose, we should know what that is first. Okay, there was a letter from the organizers for the Memorial Day Parade requesting the board members to participate. I'm certainly willing to do that, and if any other board members are, let me know,
Yeah, I'll be the one.
and I'll contact them and let them know. Andy?
Candy.
Oh, that's right, Candy to throw, right, okay. Yeah, even I scrambled for that.
That's your job.
Yes, I know, that's fine, I had trouble with that. The next piece of correspondence was a letter of resignation from Mike Catalfamo. I met with him, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now, for about an hour. He could not possibly have been more gracious in wishing all the new members of the board and the old members to go forward in the best possible means. He's offered to work with the new lawyers to help in transferring all the records and answering any questions they have, and I don't anticipate any problems with the transition from the one law firm to the new one. Again, the letter from the Spiritual Life Center, I just went over that. I don't know that we really need to spend meeting time discussing this, but it's something, I met with them up there, and I think it would be to the advantage of everybody in the community if the board could go up as individuals, but also not conducting board business, but to get a tour of the facility and have we can ask any questions about what the role they play in the community. So I think that's a good idea, and obviously we can't really schedule that tonight, but we're going to need to try and, those of us who wish to do it, let me know, and I'll
I
try and
am
schedule
gonna
the
try and
time.
get up this week during the youth
Okay.
program.
Good.
I'm gonna call Chris and ask him if I can just come up early one day.
If anybody
Questions?
in the community has not visited and looked at what services they offer, and, it's something really worthwhile, and they have lunch up there for a reasonable price for good food. But it's something I wasn't really aware of as a member of the community until I was invited up there for reasons of sickness to a healing service. So it really is an amazing place. And I, would urge anybody, just take a tour.
Yep. Well, I'm going to be speaking to that in my much delayed mayor's report.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure. The next item is a letter from Kirsten Gillibrand. What this was in response to a request sent in by Julie Mosher, asking assistance for help in financing the repair or replacement of the water tower. She's gotten the application in, but it's really too late to do much of anything this year, although she's urging us to continue with the application. She wants us to work with her staff members. As she states, if it's not approved for this fiscal year, which is pretty unlikely, She definitely wants to work with us for an application for next year, and so on until we can actually get it approved. I've met with Lisa Manzi actually prior to the election, and I've been in email contact with her since. Her aide in Glens Falls, and Lisa is a resident of the town of Greenwich. She's very, very willing to help the village go forward in grant applications and any other assistance that we may need on any matters. And I believe that she's worked very, very well with the fire department in the past. So I think that's definitely worth doing. And I guess the last item would be my mayor's report. This is going to be something new.
Excuse me, Dave, can I just?
Oh, absolutely.
Can we just get back to approving the minutes from?
Oh, yes, we never did that. I knew we needed a lawyer.
Well, to the extent that they can be approved.
Sure.
I would say we could do it on the basis of Tim and Dort verifying the accuracy of the minutes, and then the board moving them into becoming a permanent record, of the board. That's the way I would do it.
I verify that they are accurate.
They were accurate.
Okay, fine.
No typos.
So we can't vote on it because we weren't there.
You can move it into, just, you can move
Okay,
it
I'd like
to
to-
become a record.
I make a motion that we move it to become a record.
I second it.
Aye. Yep. Okay, the mayor's report. No, Andy, you're doing your job. Oh, the crop walk, yes. I did skip that. The crop walk proclamation. This is something I know near and dear to many people's hearts. George Cully, who's here, we donate to him every year for it. And Loris Brunel, who was here earlier.
They'll both be taking donations after the meeting.
Okay, here's the official proclamation. Whereas at the end of World War II, many people wanted to share our country's abundance with European war victims. And Church World Service and Crop's first purpose was to gather wheat and other crops from U.S. farms for shipment to Europe. And whereas today, locally organized Church World Service-sponsored crop hunger walks are an important part of the community life for more than 2,000 towns and cities in the United States, bringing together people of different faiths, diverse cultures, and all age groups. And whereas in the last 15 years alone, crop hunger walks have raised over $200 million to help bring in hope to people in need in more than 80 countries, including the U.S. And whereas each year, crop hunger walks help more than 3,200 local food pantries, food banks, and meal sites in the U.S. provide food to neighbors in need, including our own Emergency Relief Committee here in Greenwich. Whereas the annual Crop Hunger Walk will be held on Sunday, May 4th, to help our community become aware of and concerned about hunger and its causes. And whereas the Crop Hunger Walk will raise funds to help stop hunger both locally and globally. Now therefore I, David Doonan, Mayor of the Village of Greenwich, do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 4th as Crop Hunger Walk Day in Greenwich, and do urge citizens of Greenwich to support this Crop Hunger Walk.
If I can, something that Lori Bernal brought up to me last week was, for the size of our village, we produced the most money in New York State last year.
Wow.
That was pretty impressive.
You'll double it, you get the costume out again this year, buddy. Don't encourage them.
Okay, finally, moving on to the last item on tonight's agenda will be the mayor's report. I think it's important that I do this at every meeting. Not necessarily every report will be as long as this is. I didn't get it to Diane until this morning. If people don't have written copies, I'll certainly get that to you, and if members of the press want that, let me know. I can email that to you as well. On March 24th, I met with Chief Watkins and Jerry Herbst, along with Lyle. We spent about 2 hours with them going over the history of the fire department, how it's set up and organized, and went over their needs. On March 28th, I went up and met with Matt Baker at the Spiritual Life Center. He called me shortly after the election. Felt it was important that we have a time to sit down and talk together. Was there probably for about 2 hours. He gave me a long tour of the facility. I hadn't understood how much a part of the community they are. They donate, they do not donate. They generate about $500,000 in sales tax revenue last year. I had no idea it was that much. They also have 24 full-time employees who live locally and another 20 to 40 employees part-time who live locally. So they are a very, very important part of the community here. I know there is an issue between church and state separation, which is something I'm very cognizant of. But they are here, they are providing services for us, and they are providing tax revenues in what manner that they can. At my request, Matt has offered to allow the Chamber of Commerce, the downtown business merchants, or any other legitimate local business groups to set up informational kiosks in the Welcome Center, the lobby of the Welcome Center, because there are a considerable number of people that come through the Spiritual Life Center who live well outside this immediate area. Right now, there's no way of tracking who is actually visiting there, is coming into our downtown to do any local shopping. This is a way to encourage the people that are coming in to see what we have to offer. Now these kiosks, he's offered to actually provide the materials and construct them. There will be nothing for sale, but the merchants who wish to participate, they could have menus of the foods they offer in the restaurant. It could be goods, say, on sale from the Union Village, of course not the furniture. And perhaps real estate listings and stuff like that. And it's a way to generate interest, because I'm sure that there has been interaction already from visitors there within the community. I've heard rumors of some people who have come up, visited, and decided to buy second homes or full-time homes here in the community. The more we can allow the out-of-town visitors at the Spiritual Life Center know what our community has to offer, the better off we'll all be. He also reaffirmed an offer he made to the previous board to work with the local village government to set up some sort of village park on the Spiritual Life grounds. He made the offer about 3 years ago. It was reported in the Journal Press, I believe, but it never really went anywhere, so that's something I'm going to be looking at with him. He also passed along a message from John Remph, the Eastern Supervisor, of Easton's desire to work with the village to widen and pave Safford Hill Road to make that a fully functioning public road again. I haven't had a chance to talk to John yet, but that's something that I will be doing, but that's something that we will not be moving on this year because there's no money in the budget for that.
Was that, I don't remember that issue being resolved with the deed of the road. I don't know that they ever deeded it back over to us.
He's willing to do that.
Right, but I don't know that it's our road yet.
Well, that's something that he is
Yeah, 'cause that
willing
was
to do
something
with
that
us.
we
Yep.
There was some issue, I think, is that on Andy's list to talk about with Mike?
No, it's not, but
You might want to touch base with Mike about the,
No, Mike never got the deed.
I didn't think so, yeah, that's right, Leo, you would know.
No, Mike never got the deed for the road.
okay. So it's still technically owned by the Spiritual Life Center.
Right.
On March 31st, I met with Mark Spezio, one of the Cambridge trustees. He's the point person in Cambridge for the shared services agreement with the DPW. What's going on there is a shared service agreement to look into hiring an engineer to oversee or to work with the DPW with both Greenwich and Easton. They've gotten approval from the state for that. Mark is currently drafting up a contract and we have the money for the contract has already been approved by the state to do a feasibility study and to see whether or not it's worth pursuing a joint engineer that can help both communities. If this goes forward, I would recommend that we see if it's possible to extend it to work with Cambridge at the village of Salem as well. But anyhow, this is still an ongoing discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
did you say Easton?
Did I say Easton?
You meant Cambridge.
I'm sorry. It's a shared services agreement for an engineer to be shared between Cambridge and Greenwich.
Okay. I thought you said Easton.
I may very well
Threw
have.
me a curve.
Oh, I'll probably do that more than once by mistake, so thank you for pointing that out. On April 1st, I met with Leo Flynn and the entire DPW staff. I assured them that despite the budget constraints we're under, there will be no layoffs in that department. Leo gave me a long tour of all the facilities. It was a great tour. Spent a long time over at the water and sewage treatment plants. Mike pointed out that at some point, we're gonna have to look into repairing or replacing the roof of a waste treatment plant. It's an old structure that's basically built with 2x8s held together with metal flashing that's beginning to rust out. It's not anything immediate, but we're gonna have to be looking at that probably in the next year or two. April 1st, I met with Chris McCormick. Chris, again, gave full support to the new board and is more than willing to answer any questions from anyone down the road. And he's also volunteered to step forward and manage the wiffle ball league and continue with that, and I have no trouble with that at all. And believe me, I certainly wish him the best of health, and hopefully the time off will allow him to get his health back under control. I know we all certainly feel that. April 1st, Kathy, Lyle, and I met with the building committee of the fire department. We spent a number of hours there going over all, well, I'm going to say all, but certainly many, many plans that they have drawn up, which were very enlightening to us. As obviously, you haven't come up with prices on anything, Tom, again, because nothing was resolved. But the detail and the thought that they have put into their plans for the entire IGA property, part of the property for 200 Main Street, and for this facility here was very impressive. So I know that there's no need to start from scratch. We can work, once we determine how we want to go forward, we know have plans that we can start with. And I commend them for all the time and effort that they put in, and we will do the best we can to move forward in a way that's best for the taxpayers and best for the fire department. On April 11th, I met with Robert Kamon. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. He's the director of Kamen Associates, which is an economic development firm and grant writing firm in Saratoga. He's going to be sending a letter detailing exactly what they have to offer us. My idea behind meeting with him is I don't have the expertise to sit down and research and write grants. Nobody else on the board has. The fire department has done it, and the police department have done it because nobody else has been in a position to do it in the past. I believe it's in the best interests of our community if we can find 1 or 2 or 3 professional grant writers to contract with to go forward, to do the research for us, to write the grants. They're going to know who to look for to find money for specific projects, whether it's the rehabilitation of this building, whether it's the construction of a new fire department, whether it's road resurfacing, whether it's anything. Rather than us bog our time down in something that we're not familiar with and spin our wheels, if we can find a professional to work with to help guide us through this, I think it's in the best interest of our community. This particular firm works strictly on a fee basis. What I'm looking for is to work with a grant writer who's willing to work on a basis where they would get paid a percentage of the grant, which is certainly very feasible. Many grant writers do that. And I will be meeting with 2 people tomorrow, Mary Ann Brown, who's a local grant writer, and Paul Mastrodato of Saratoga, to discuss what they have to offer us and if they're willing to work on that basis. Sunday, I met with Dee Dee Nash, the mayor of Cambridge, went over a sort of a brief informal get-together at my house, and we spoke briefly about the shared services agreement with the police department and how we can go forward with that to reorganize to save money for both villages. And I met with Chief Bell briefly today to discuss that same issue. Dee Dee Nash will be setting up a meeting at some point in the future between herself, Chief Bell, myself, and representatives, hopefully, of the both boards of Greenwich and Cambridge to discuss how we can go forward with continuing the shared services agreement, but in a way that's much, much more cost-effective than it's been. I also accepted an offer to join the search committee for the new school superintendent. I initiated discussions with the Greenwich Central School and Adirondack Community College about increasing ACC's presence here in the community, but I haven't really had a chance to pursue that. The reason I did that is a couple of representatives of ACC came to a chamber meeting 2 months ago and expressed their interest in trying to establish a centralized location in southern Washington County for adult ed classes. One of the things I want to raise with them is not just that, but whether they would be willing to offer advanced AP classes or college level classes for our high school students. Because our school system is very small. It doesn't have the capability of offering a lot of the AP classes that bigger communities like Troy or Albany or Saratoga or Glens Falls has. So if there's some way to work this out, I see it as my role as mayor in the community to try and facilitate discussions between those two entities. I'll be scheduling meetings in the future with Pete Carter to go over his role on the Youth Commission and how we can go forward with that. Also with Colleen Ademick to go over how we deal with assessments. I'm on the agenda for the town meeting tomorrow, whenever the next town meeting is. Thank you, Jenny. Initially, what I'll be discussing there is the website. I'm the commercial developer of the website for the town. And when I turned it over to them, two of the members, Bob Jeffords and George Perkins, have indicated on a couple of different occasions they would be more than willing to allow the village to add on to the existing town website at absolutely no cost to the village. I cannot see the sense of the village spending money for a website if they're willing to do that. What I would do as mayor is, if I get agreement from the town to do that and agreement from the village to go forward and do that, I would develop a content management system that would allow a village employee to update the site via web-based forms, and I would only get involved if something went kablooey. This way, when I'm no longer mayor, the system will still be in place and the updates will be able to be done. Right now, Kelly Blake has been updating the town website, uploading meeting minutes, PDFs of commonly requested forms and applications. I'll set the same thing up for the village. And Kelly contacts me perhaps once a year with a problem. So it's very much a hands-off solution as far as web developers go. It's entirely within the hands of the town. I'm going to set something up for the village, and it will be set up so whoever the contact person for the village is has no ability to edit or add information on the town portion for the website, and vice versa. The town will not be able to add or edit information on the village portion of the website. And it's really important to get that out. And Pete, when I talk to them, I'm going to ask them for permission to do the same thing for a youth commission one. And I previously gotten permission from them to add a portion onto the town website for economic development. I chose not to pursue it at the time because when they gave me permission to do it is when I decided when I began seriously considering running for office. And I felt like it would be a conflict of interest to do that, even though it would be in the best interest of the town, but I felt very uncomfortable as somebody who was considering running for office doing that type of work. I really wanted to wait until the election was over and then go forward with it, so I'm going to raise that issue again. I believe I also mentioned I'm going to raise the issue of possibly changing meeting nights. So the town board, the village board, the school board, and the fire department all meet on separate individual nights. And on April 24th, I'll be attending the New York Conference of Mayors meeting on Main Street Economic Development. And last item are the committee tasks. DPW, I'd like you to look into the status of the grant application of the water tower. We know what the status is for Kirsten Gillibrand, but if you can do a follow-up with Betty Little's office.
Yes.
Okay? And also, obviously, we need to look into the continuing issue of well number 2, which we've addressed already.
Thursday, we're gonna.
Good.
Yeah,
And at some point, we need to find out the size of the aquifer that we're drawing water from. Leo says no study's ever really been done on that. Maybe there's a U.S. geological map that indicates that, I don't know. But I would like to know the size of that. I don't want to authorize anything until we find out if we have to do a study and what the cost is. But I think if we're planning for the future, it would be good to know what the size of that aquifer is. I'm not authorizing any expenditures whatsoever. I just want you to look into that. That's
George
all.
used to work for USGS. He may know
You
if
might
there's
have the
one
maps.
existing.
That would be perfect.
And if not, he would know who to contact.
Perfect. Okay. The police committee, 2 real simple issues. I mentioned this to George, but I don't expect you to do it. I expected my trustees to do it. I want you to look into contacting the DOT into getting an advanced or delayed left-hand turn signal at the traffic light in the center of town to help alleviate traffic congestion. And also look into pedestrian crossing lights at that intersection and also possibly at the intersection in front of the library. If we can get that done state finance with no money on the taxpayers, that would eliminate the need for 2 crossing guards, and it would also allow much safer crossing. Also during the day for elderly people like Tom who are very slow walkers, and I've seen you out there waiting quite lengthily, and it's pretty amazing. Every once in a while I will see a truck driver come to a dead stop and allow people to cross. I know it is an issue, I know it's against state law for people not to allow pedestrians to cross, but if we can get the state to put up pedestrian crossing signals, I think that would improve the safety of everyone.
If you don't stand in the street,
I know,
they
you know.
won't.
Yeah, even if you do stand in the street, sometimes they don't stop.
I usually let the dog lead out.
I was gonna say.
That's real
I
nice,
really-
real nice.
Again, I really would like to see George stop some of the traffic from
Yes.
down Church
Yep.
Street in the
I'd
morning.
like to one up.
I have seen car after car after car come through Church Street, look down, and come around and head west. And if I'm standing at one of those two crosswalks, either on the corner or the other, trying to get across Main Street, I have come close. I've been in the walk as they come down 30 miles an hour.
I've almost been hit twice, Tom.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, so this is a safety issue. There are a lot of elderly in this community that spend a good part of the warmer months out walking, so I'd like you guys to look into this. Buildings and beautification, moving quickly. I would like you to look into what it would take to develop a village garden on the village-owned green down in Mill Hollow. That's the one park left that, to the best of my knowledge, nothing's ever been developed
Are
on.
we sure we own that?
Well, we need, I believe we do.
Are we sure? 'Cause
Well,
there was
let's
some
look into that.
question. Well, no, there was some question.
Well, if you-
Am I right? There was some question as to who owned
Buildings.
the middle of
Metal?
Mill Hollow?
Always told we've owned it.
We have problems with streets
Okay,
too.
well, that's the first thing that needs to get looked into then, to make sure that is village property, and then if there are volunteers in the community that will be willing to help work with the DPW to get some sort of garden down there.
Used to be a playground down there.
Yep, well, maybe that might be where we want to put it.
Wow.
That's an area of the community that's been ignored for years. I don't want them to feel left out of what's going on. I would like, at some point, to get an appraisal on the 160 acres the village owns off North Road. Yes, that's up where the old water reservoir is.
How many?
160 acres. My intentions are not to sell that for public development, but either to get an agricultural easement from the ASA or to sell it to an organization like the Nature Conservancy so it always remains parkland, wildland, and open to the public. Nothing will be done without a full, open discussion from the community. I'm just raising the issue. Nothing will be done without a stipulation that the village retains full and complete control of the water reservoir up there in the event that we ever need it in an emergency. I'm not asking anything to happen immediately. I'm just raising this as an issue. That's something that I believe that we should look into down the road for the to take responsibility for the taxes in the community. I believe it's my responsibility to look to generate income where we can. That nothing will be done rashly. I guarantee you that I will never authorize the sale of this for commercial development.
Does the zoning of the town have something to say with that too?
That's one thing we'll have to look into, Tom. Okay. One other thing that youth and seniors, I got a couple of things for you guys to look at. One would be, and obviously Pete's already begun to look into this, is the location and funding for a community playground. I believe it's also important to get a skateboard park put up. One has been put up in Cambridge that was actually initiated by the high school students of Cambridge. They're the ones that planned it. They came forward with the proposal. I think it's been great. I know one of the students who did that, I've met him. He not only was a super skateboarder, he decided to start videotaping what went on. He got into it so much, he started creating a website for it. He's now going to college for digital media because of the willingness of the village of Cambridge to work with him to develop a skateboard park. He now has a positive direction in life because of that. So as we develop playground facilities for our kids, we need to understand that we have teenagers as well that need locations and directions as well. I would also like the Youth Commission to look into the possibility of an annual fundraising concert for the Gannon Trust. featuring the songs of Kim Gannon. We all know the one song that he's written. I'm sure he has written dozens, if not hundreds of songs. I think it would be a great event if we could do an annual fundraising concert by having local community members, individual musicians, the school bands get involved performing his music. I think it would really tie us together and make us understand the heritage and appreciate the gift that he's given us.
Dave, I don't know that we as a village entity can actually actively fundraise. We need to look into
Okay.
that. The other, and I mean, it's a
Sure.
great idea. I know that we only own copyright for a couple of those songs.
Well, perhaps what you
So
could
we
look
need to
into
look
is the
into-
possibility of doing a concert that's a non-fundraiser initially.
Yeah, but we
Okay,
we
and
need
I'm
to
not
look at
expecting it to
copyright
happen this
issues.
year, because I know the summer's coming up already.
Yeah.
But it's an issue that I want to raise to everybody. And finally, my very last issue is, at some point, I would like the members of the youth and seniors to draw up a list of commercial developers of senior housing. At some point, that's going to be another issue. Again, we have Cynthia Meadows sort of hidden away, tucked up, but I know there's a need for additional senior housing in the village. I'm not proposing anything, but it would be, I think, to our advantage as a board to know what 2 or 3 best developers are out there. So if somebody does come to us in the future, we'll basically have them pre-vetted. And if an opportunity comes forward for us that we can work with someone to develop something, we'll know what's going on as well. I'm not expecting you to move on this immediately, but at some point in the next 6 months, if you guys can look into this, I think our community would be best served by it. Okay, the very last thing is public comments. Oh.
You skipped the Best Mountain. Did we?
Oh, yes. No, we're gonna, not yet. No, we'll deal with that
You don't
later.
want to take, okay.
No, I want to take that issue yet.
Okay.
Okay, the very last thing is public comments. Again, I ask that you bring comments or questions up about issues that we haven't discussed tonight. This will be a normal part of every board meeting from now on. And I ask you, your comments be brief, because we've been here very, very long tonight, and you identify yourself. Comments, questions from anyone?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm George Kelly, crossing guard on Washington Square and Salem Street.
Yep.
And I like what you mentioned about DOT. One other thing you should have is a truck route down there somewhere. They can't see that Route 29 sign. It's so small, and every week trucks right on up and they get up on Church Street and they can't hardly make the turn.
Okay.
And that's something I'd like to bring.
Because you're looking at the bunny elephant.
Any other questions or comments?
Leo, we don't have a sign like that now?
I think it's a DOT issue. I gotta believe it'd be state.
Yeah.
You know.
I just didn't know, there's nothing that exists like
Garson?
that.
Yes, my name is Garson Smith. I had a question about the Verizon cell tower status on Norma Gannon's property. What's the status of that tower, and will the lease payments from that tower be directed back to the Gannon Fund?
I believe that's what the previous board voted to do. I believe the contract's been signed and gone through, and we're just waiting for
There's no
Verizon to
action
start
from
construction.
Verizon at this point.
Yeah, at this point, we're just waiting for Verizon to start. But yeah, but the previous board voted to approve that and voted to roll that money that comes in every year back
It goes
over into the youth.
Well, yeah, it goes into the.
Great.
Into the general fund, but earmarked specifically for youth.
If you remember, Garson, one of the things we did is we increased our youth budget with the intention that that money would be used towards that.
I guess one of my concerns was, we've got to really thank Mr. Catalfamo for him helping direct Norma to leaving that money to the youth of the village, because without Mike, it wouldn't have happened. But being how that, Mike has really been the one to control and to make suggestions and such, that now what happens? Now that Mike's out of that equation, but yet he's still trustee of the trust. We talked a little bit about a 501c3 program, which might alleviate that non-for-profit status, so we could have a, we could raise money.
I have
For
Andy
that?
looking into this issue to see legally what we can and can't do, and when we get an opinion, I'll be bringing it up in front of the public.
Okay.
To know
I
how
guess
to
just
go forward.
because of Mike's involvement with that, there was a bunch of folks, that myself included, that just had questions of, okay, now what? So, So thanks for addressing the cell tower, and be looking forward to seeing it through.
I want to just thank everybody for coming out. My apologies for taking so long tonight. I haven't run a meeting before ever in my life. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. Again, I really want to encourage people to volunteer for the ZBA or the zoning board. Anybody ever has questions, I'm available at any point to ask questions, as long as you don't call like 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I'll probably.
You can even flag him down on the street.
Absolutely. Understand this is a part-time position. I do have a job to do as a self-employed web developer. But I am in the village most of the time. If you see me walking down the street, don't hesitate to grab me and ask me questions. I'm willing and open for anything. And the more citizen involvement we get at every single level, the better our community will be. Go ahead.
I had one more thing. It was from Artie Irby. He had to leave. He is asking, has the village donated money to the town of Easton's Veterans Memorial? He wanted to know, was this in order? So he just wanted to mention about that.
It's the first I'm hearing.
Okay, so I'll get together with Artie on that one.
Okay.
Get more information and bring it up at the next meeting.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Your ayes? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dave.